There is no war within its borders, but does a threat of terrorism give more impetus for Europe to increase its security and defence capabilities? A report making its way through Parliament calls on EU countries to invest heavily in military tech so that the bloc is able to better respond to international crises. EuroparlTV sat down with its author, Portuguese Socialist MEP Ana Gomes, to find out more. Ms Gomes, welcome to the programme. Now, when member states are scaling back their military capabilities, and when they already contribute 190 billion euros to an EU defence and security budget, what are we talking about in this report that you're putting forward? You're calling for more research and development, for more equipment, technology.
Huge sums of taxpayers' money is spent often, most of the time, in totally intransparent way, with governments invoking national sovereignty not to provide accountability, and where they spend in things that are really not, in equipment that is really not necessary. I don't think that, for instance, nuclear equipment serves any purpose, because nuclear equipment doesn't deter anyone in this moment. It's not a deterrent. We know that, for instance, we need strategic airlifting, transportation. We know we need cyber equipment to fight cyber warfare. We know we need all sorts of equipment for maritime security that requires a lot of research and development.
But do we really need an EU defence equipment market? I mean, that's something that you're advocating for.
Well, if you don't have a European transparent market, you have 28 untransparent markets. Is this good? Is this good for European citizens? I am for a joint endeavour. I mean, look at what is happening in the Mediterranean. Why don't we have a CSDP mission, a Common Security and Defence mission, involving navies, coastal guards, air forces, to first and foremost save lives and fight the traffickers in the Mediterranean?
Some people would say that on the back of the threat of, obviously, the looming terrorism and now migration, that the EU is arming itself and trying to make itself this idea of an EU fortress.
No, but just the opposite. I'm just telling you that I want a military joint mission to actually save lives in the Mediterranean, first and foremost, and then fight the traffickers. It's actually fighting the notion of a European fortress, is the Europe that lives up to its values, and namely humanitarian and human rights values.
But don't you think the taxpayer might want to think about disarmament rather than armament?
But partly is indeed disarmament. And for instance, one of the things in this report that we call is for monitoring of the implementation of the common position of the EU member states on arms exports. We want to know. We have rules about, for instance, not exporting arms to countries that are involved in wars. And member states have been totally...
Would that include Ukraine?
Ukraine or many other countries that are involved in wars. I mean, there are political decisions to be made in that are involved in countries. And indeed, again, there is total intransparency.
Now, you talk about fictions and you've talked about transparency. There's an idea that has been bandied around, the idea of an EU army. Is that something that could happen?
I'm a federalist, and I will want to see a European army, but I think this is very, very far away. And I don't think it is actually adequate to talk about it at the moment. Those who wave a European army are those who don't want to do, and normally don't do anything for necessary European synergies in security and defence. Let's be realistic. Our governments are spending still a lot of money in security and defence. I'd rather have them spend it with transparency, with strategic direction, and together, because I'm absolutely persuaded that if we spend together in synergy, we will spend less and we will spend better.
Okay, Ms Gomes, thank you so much for joining us on EuroparlTV. Pleasure, thank you.
Portanto, sejam programados.